Today, for the first time in over 7 years, we are going to be listening to brand new Starsailor. This is where the wild things grow. Hello everybody and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on my channel. I am so excited about this reaction. I haven't been filming very much lately, and if you're new to the channel here, just know that I was diagnosed with leukemia at the beginning of the year, and so that's why my channel hasn't been having very many uploads recently. It is still an active channel. I just recently on my channel uploaded our Black Keys reaction, me and my cousin and my cousin-in-law. We had a great fun time listening to Ohio Players by the Black Keys, so go check that out. We've got all sorts of other stuff here on the channel. Last year I went through the entire Metallica discography for the first time. We have many hours discussing Metallica, so if you're a heavy music fan, check those out. But if you're here and you're a follower of the channel, know that I appreciate you very much, and hopefully now that I'm entering a new stage of my treatment in the next week or so, I actually think not next week, but the following week, I should be having a little bit more time to work on my channel. At least that's my hope. So hopefully we'll be able to get back to uploading videos a little bit more and just back to having fun on the channel here. So if you're unfamiliar with the channel, though, and you don't know the format of my videos, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit here about Starsailor at the beginning of the video, and then I will listen to the entire album all the way through from front to back. And because it's just me here today by myself, I'm going to try not to pause at all, so that if we do have copyright issues and I can't upload this video with the actual music from the album in the video, then you can start your own copy of the album along with me. At the beginning, I'll do a countdown on the first track, if I remember, which I think I will. And then I'll just listen all the way through. I'll be talking over the music, giving you the thoughts of what I'm hearing, and we'll just have a lot of fun doing that. I'll go track by track, and like I said, listening to everything without stopping. At least that's my hope, so it's easy for people to sync up, like I said, if we have copyright issues. Then after I'm done listening to the whole album, I will do give my sort of overall thoughts, or my review, if you will, at the end. So feel free to skip around the video. There will be timestamps in the description, and you'll also be able to just scrum along the timeline and see if you have a favorite song, or if you just want to skip to the end to hear my overall thoughts, feel free to do that as well. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to get into before we get into Starsailor? I don't think so. I guess basically just thank you for being here. Like I said, I haven't been filming very many videos recently, and I want to try to keep this one relatively short. The album is 41 minutes long. That's not too bad for 11 songs. The new Black Keys album was 42 minutes, I believe, maybe 43 minutes, and there was 14 tracks on that album. So this is, I'm hoping the songs are a little bit longer. I was looking at the track list a little bit earlier, and I do see that one of the songs is 2 minutes and 16 seconds, and that kind of bothers me a little bit, but all the rest of the songs look like they're pretty good. There's only one other song that's under 3 minutes, and it's 2:42, and that's still long enough to have a good full song that leaves you feeling satisfied and complete when it's over. But one of my sticklers is not having a song feel complete when it's over. Another thing that I absolutely despise and that I have here ready to go is my fade-outs board. I despise... Oh, hold on. We don't have any fade-outs yet on this album. That was from the Black Keys album. But I got my fade-outs board ready to go. If we hear any fade-outs, we'll add a tally to the board, and we'll add that all up at the end and see if this album gets a passing grade or not. For the record, any fades is a failing grade. But anyway, so let's just get into it and start talking about Starsailor. Starsailor for me is a very... Oh, if you are a follower of this channel because you've been like enjoying my Metallica videos and you like heavier music and you don't know who Starsailor is, right away I just want to start off by saying Starsailor is one of my favorite bands, but they are also one of the most different bands that I would say is one of my like all-time favorite bands. They are very much a situation of unique in my, I guess, whatever, the plethora of albums that I always say are like my favorite albums of all time. They are the thing that breaks the rule, the exception to the rule. That's how I usually say it. They are one of the exceptions to the rule. And what I mean by that is I don't know what we're going to get on this new album, but throughout their catalog, you'll have a lot of strumming guitar, which people who are fans of this channel will know. I am not a fan of strumming guitar, which I know might sound ridiculous because it's the basis for so much music. And I think if you have a lot of other things going on, strumming guitar is fine. And I think in some cases, strumming guitar is awesome. But for the most part, I am not a fan of just standing on a stage with an acoustic guitar, or even worse, just an electric guitar strumming and having that be the basis of every song. I know it's simple, and it's how a lot of people start off when they're practicing guitar, which is the opposite of the way I started practicing guitar, and that's probably why I'm such a bad guitar player. But Starsailor has James Walsh, the singer, has a bit more of a higher pitched voice than most lead vocalists that I enjoy. But there's just something about his voice that absolutely captivates me. It's very emotional. It's very raw. I love the way that he sings. I'm a fan of some of his solo albums, though I haven't gotten any of those in physical format. And my plan in a little bit here is to go over their discography very briefly. I have all of their albums over here. So I want to go over those just very briefly and show you what I have so you know. But I enjoy a lot of things about this band, but I think one of the things I enjoy the most is the keyboards. I absolutely love the way the piano and the keyboards are played. A lot of the times on some of the albums, it's a bit more organ-based, and the keyboardist is doing more sort of, just chords and things and holding it out to sort of thicken almost what you're hearing in the background, to lay a bed of sound down that the rest of the musicians can play on the top of. But a lot of the time, my favorite Starsailor songs all have piano, and I absolutely adore when a band has a keyboard player or a piano player in the band that can actually play the piano. And some of the piano arrangements that they do in their songs are just absolutely gorgeous. That's one of my absolute favorite things about this band. But when I said they were the exception to the rule, like I already mentioned, James' voice being a little bit higher register than most vocalists that I absolutely love, to the level that I do love James's vocals. Like I said, the strumming guitars, their very first album, Love Is Here, is one of the most important albums in terms of my musical influence, and it is definitely one of the exceptions to the rule. If you knew me as a person and you knew my musical taste from listening to this channel and watching our videos here, you would probably be very surprised if you heard a couple songs off of their first album and thought, oh, I can't believe Patrick likes this. This doesn't seem like the kind of thing that he would like. That's what I mean by exception to the rule. There's a lot of strummed acoustic and some strummed electric guitar, but to me it is just the song arrangements. It is the way everything is put together. It's the production. It feels very almost do-it-yourself, but it feels professional, but at the same time it almost feels like professionals trying to do something on more of like a garage level almost. Like a garage band sort of production type thing, like people who didn't really know what they were doing at the time, though I do believe they were young when their first album came out, but I think they knew what they were doing, and the people they had working on that album did a great job, because I love the way that album sounds. But that album was very important to me and it helped me broaden my musical horizons, I guess, and learn to give other music that might sound like them a little bit a chance. There's very few other bands that I do like that remind me of them, but I don't know if I could say that I learned to like things like Blur, for example, or gosh, I don't even know what else, had I not fallen in love with this album. And the reason I fell in love with, I'm sorry, not this album, this band, and specifically their first album, Love Is Here. But the reason I fell in love with this band in the first place is I first heard them in 2004 after Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater came out, and I beat that game, and I was so highly emotionally charged after defeating the boss and getting the Medal of Honor as Snake, and then having him choose to walk away, because we knew the truth of what the sacrifice she truly made for the United States, for our country. And then when the game is over and the credits start to roll, at the height of the emotions, their song Way to Fall is the song that played. And I just knew I had to look into this band, and I went to the local record store that I would actually work at years later, 5 or 6 years later. I went to the record store, Hastings Entertainment. I talk about it all the time. We sold a lot more than just records, but Hastings Entertainment in Fremont, Nebraska, and we had a used copy there, and I bought it. This copy, as a matter of fact. And I fell in love with this album, and I fell in love with this band. Sorry, it's a little dark. I'll try to adjust the video after the fact so you can see some of this, but I don't have the lights set up perfectly. There, that's a little better. So, let's go through the albums real quick that I have. I think you can probably get from the gist of my conversation here that this band is very special to me, and I hold them in very high regard, and I'm very much, very much, very much looking forward to Where the Wild Things Grow. But we'll get to that in a second. So, as I've already said, Love Is Here. I absolutely adore this album. I would definitely say this is probably in my top 30 favorite albums of all time. It would be a little difficult to say that it's in my top 20, but it's probably not very far from the number 20 spot. And someday I plan to go through everything. I've already started this process very slowly, going through and re-listening to all of the albums. If you're unfamiliar with my channel, I am not the type of person to listen to music and just like re-listen to it. If I listen to something and I love it, my one rule is to never listen to the same album twice in a row, ever. And I've never done that, ever. You listen to something, maybe adore it, love it, it's your favorite new thing, listen to something else, cleanse the palate, come back to it a few days later. Most of the times when I listen to something and I absolutely love it, I might listen to it off and on again, with listening to other things in between for a couple of weeks, and then I kind of let it sit for a while. I'll let it sit for a couple months, maybe let it sit for a year, and then when I come back to it, it's this very special treat to come back to it. And over the years, this is one album that I just absolutely keep coming back to the point where one of my all-time favorite things I've ever bought online is this. This is one of the original copies. They've re-released it since then as a 20th anniversary. But this is one of the original copies of the vinyl from, I believe, 2001 when this album came out. They may have printed it later, I'm not sure. It just says copyright 2001 on here. But it has the Made in Holland sticker on there. And this is not, like I said, I just want to reiterate, this is not the re-release. This is an original copy. And what's so interesting about this is that I got this on eBay for very, very cheap. I think it was like $15, maybe $14.99, something like that. Free shipping, I believe. And the reason for that, and I'll see if I can show you this. I don't know. I didn't test this to see if I could show it easily or not. So there's a picture of the guys. More pictures, information. But the reason I was able to get this so cheap, which this is 180 gram vinyl, by the way, it's very nice, is that there is a hole. Hold on. I'm not looking at that. I want to see if I can show you. Yeah, right up there. Can you tell? Come on. I got to get it over the right thing so you can see behind me. There. There is a hole, a tiny hole right here. If you can tell. There's a tiny, tiny, tiny hole that goes all the way through the vinyl. And, oh, I got a fingerprint on it. Oh, it's gone. There's a tiny hole there, and this was sold as not working. However, if you try really, really hard to line up the very, very, very beginning groove, I can get the entire Tie My Hands Up, which is track 1 on this album. I can get Tie My Hands Up, the entire song, to play on this. Every other song, because as you know, well, I guess Tie My Hands Up would be the one side, and then the other side is the second half, which is Fever. But I can get both songs to play fully. As you know, a vinyl plays from the outside in. And so I can get this whole record to play fine. There's just a little hole up here. It doesn't affect anything as long as I'm really careful with the needle where I put it. And if I don't really care necessarily, I don't have to even be very careful, and I can just miss the first 5, 6, maybe 10 seconds of the first track on each side. And yeah, so I think this is such a great deal I got on this. It's probably one of the more rare modern vinyls that I have. On my Discogs, I have it listed on my Discogs channel, which, by the way, anyone can go look at my Discogs and see my entire music collection of CDs and some vinyl that I have, but I'm still in the process of adding my vinyl. But I have over 3,500 CDs on there. But this is one of my prized vinyl possessions. I absolutely adore having this. This is one of my favorite albums. If you go back and you look at a lot of the videos on my channel, you'll see that I have had this record up on the wall behind me in many, many videos. So along those lines, I also have the much more recent 20th anniversary edition of this that was remastered, and I was very excited to hear the remaster of this album, and also to listen to the second CD, which is Distillery Sections. It says new recordings, all previously unreleased, of I think 5 of the songs, and then there's bonus tracks from like a couple different things on here, which is neat to have. Especially the final track on this album is called Coming Down, and it's just an acoustic and vocal song. And so there's a full band version of that song on here, which is really interesting to listen to, and I like that. But overall, I was a little disappointed when I listened to the CD one of this and the remastered version of this. I don't think they necessarily did the greatest job in the world remastering it. And I still love the way that the original album sounds, I think, a little bit more. And so when I do take this album out and listen to it again, which I've done a couple times over the last year or so, it's kind of half and half, whether I choose to listen to the remaster or choose to listen to the original. And that's pretty rare. Usually I will go out of my way to listen to a remaster because I trust that it was done better. And a lot of the times, most of the times, in fact, it does sound better. But in this case, I don't know. I was a little disappointed with this, and that's one of the reasons I didn't pre-order and buy from their website the 2-disc edition of Silence is Easy, this album, which is they've just released the 20th anniversary of this, I think, either last year or the year before. This is 2003, so it would have been last year because we're in 2024 now. And so I did not purchase that. But, so this is their second album. This is also great. I have 2 copies of this album. And you can see this one here is actually autographed. I did not get this one autographed. I bought it used somewhere. And it says on here, to Thea, best wishes, James. And then he drew the little star symbol, which is sort of the Starsailor symbol. And then he has on here 01/29/04. So I know that this is actually a very early copy of this album. Or at least early, I guess not early necessarily. This album was released in 2003. So this was autographed the year after it came out, probably when they were touring for it. So I have my original copy of this that I bought, again, after the fact, used, probably even at the same store. And then I found this one many years later, and it's cool to have an autograph by James, even though I don't know who Thea is. Along with that, I also have Starsailor Silence is Easy CD single, which is pretty cool. There's just a couple things on here. It's this. I'm sorry, this isn't a CD single. This is a DVD. So it's the Silence is Easy video. It's behind the scenes interview. And then there's 2 audio tracks, Could You Be Mine, which is a song that I think might be exclusive to this. Yeah, and then that's one of the songs that's on the second disc of the 20th anniversary of Silence is Easy. And then Good Souls Live 2003 is on here. I've watched this DVD at least once, maybe twice, when I forgot what was on it. But it's not the most amazing thing, but it wasn't very expensive. I bought it used, I think, somewhere over the years. And it's pretty cool to have, just because I love Starsailor so much. Then I have 3 copies of On the Outside, their third album. You can see here. I have the pink edition, the blue edition, which is the first edition I got, and then the yellow edition. And so each of these is slightly different. This is the original version that I got and bought. This has just the 11 tracks, the 11 regular tracks from the album on there. And then second, I purchased this. You can see I got it for $7.99 at CD Trade Post. But actually, no, there's a blue sticker on it, so I got it in the clearance bin. This one has 1 bonus track, which is Empty Streets, which is one of the bonus tracks on... I'm pretty sure... I was pretty sure it was a bonus track on Silences, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. But there's 1 bonus track on there called Empty Streets. And then I also have more recently, over the last few years, you can see also used here for $5, I found this, which is the purple edition, which comes with the bonus DVD, which has a live performance of them doing, I think, 5 of the songs from this album, and a making of the album on it. And I don't know if I've watched this. I think I have. It's a running time of 35 minutes, but it's pretty cool. And it also contains the bonus track, Empty Streets, as well. So I just think it's cool. I just think it looks cool on my shelf to have the same CD, 3 versions, different colors. I really like that. I think that's a cool way to market the different versions. And oh, how I miss the days when there would be different versions of CDs and things. So All three of these albums I absolutely adore. I think that the variety between each of these albums is very special. It's one of the things that makes Starsailor one of my favorite bands that I would say. Their first album is much more acoustic and is sort of ethereal sounding. There's a lot of vibe. There's a vibe to it that's kind of like a chill, haunting vibe. Their second album is a little bit more upbeat, and there's a little bit more production. There's strings added to it. They recorded a couple tracks with Phil Spencer, I believe, in the United States. Their biggest hit, "Four to the Floor," is on that album, which is a sort of like a dancey song. So it's a different feeling album, though it still feels like the same band, but I feel like it's a little bit crisper. It feels a little bit more expensive, and so I really enjoy both of those albums a lot. And then their third album, On the Outside, is actually a rock album. It's one of the most it's actually so different from their first two albums, and I love it. It still feels like Starsailor, but their first two albums are a lot of acoustic guitar and electric guitar working together, but the electric guitars mostly just kind of come in the choruses, and it's mainly acoustic guitar, I would say, for a lot of the album. And if not electric guitar, if not acoustic guitar, clean electric guitar, and a lot of piano as well, a lot more organ on that album, on the second album as well. But the third album is mostly organ. There is some piano on it, mostly organ behind distorted electric guitar, and they are rock songs, and there's some angry moments. The first track is all about how In the Crossfire, which is one of their singles off this album, is all about how they hear him screaming on the radio, and it's sort of like a call to arms for all musicians. It's like, why are we letting the music that's popular be the popular music? Like, why is everyone whining on the radio? Why, it's really I love that album so much, and it's great. So their first three albums to me are really, honestly, like, I don't know if they're all 10 out of 10 albums, but they're really close to that. I think their first album is a 10 out of 10. Their second album, I think, of the three, might actually be my least favorite, even though some of the best songs are on there. And then I just absolutely adore On the Outside. It's such a unique album in my collection in terms of the albums that I truly love. Then we had a bit of a break, because On the Outside was 2006, and then we have from 2009, so 3 years later, and it felt a long time. This is the first album I believe I purchased new from them. This is All the Plans. I always forget what this album's called. This is All the Plans. I really like this album too, and I've kind of slept on this album over the last decade, but I really do like this album. I think there's a lot of really great ideas. There's really good production, but I don't think it's their best album. But I do enjoy it a lot. There's some songs on here that are really, really, really good. And so I'm hoping with Where the Wild Things Grow, we get an album that's at least this good, maybe even better than this album. That's sort of my hope, where my bar is set at. And then, in my opinion, my least favorite of their albums is what's this one called? All This Life. So we have All the Plans and All This Life. That's interesting. So this is All This Life. This is my least favorite album of theirs, and I do like parts of it. I like ideas of what they're doing, but I feel for the most part like this, with the exception of a few songs, a lot of the songs feel like they were just like sort of disparate, separate ideas that the band just kind of put together to make into songs. I feel like the transitions are a little bit weak from section to section, and some of the songs feel very short, and they just feel almost like B-sides, some of the songs. Again, there's really good songs on this as well, but for the most part, I think this is their weakest album. So that's their whole discography, basically, up until now. The only other thing I want to point out is that I do have their DVD, Love Is Here Live. This was recorded way back in the day, in 2002, after their first album, Love Is Here, came out. This has I believe their whole first album, plus a couple of other things. Recorded live in London on November 1st, 2001. The quality of this is very low as far as everything goes, but at the time they were not a huge band, so it's amazing that this exists at all to me. It also has 4 music videos. There's little documentaries and things. There's some acoustic live performance and stuff on here. It's pretty cool. It's pretty neat that they have this, and I'm really happy, and I've watched it. The concert is very different sounding than the album. The piano is still really great, but it doesn't sound as good because it wasn't a real piano. It's just some electric piano on stage or whatever that the keyboardist played. And James is playing an electric guitar most of the time, I believe. Or I guess he's got acoustic guitar on the front, but he does play electric guitar quite a bit, and so there's just a lot of strumming guitar. So it does sound a lot more like a rock band performing these songs, and you know it's very raw feeling, but still interesting. And if you're a big fan of this band and you weren't aware that that was out, definitely something that would be worth checking out. Okay, so now we're on to the brand new album, Where the Wild Things Grow, and I can show you this, as silly as it is. This is the cassette that I got with the version that I purchased. I bought the deluxe, or not deluxe, I guess, but I guess kind of deluxe, the CD edition that came with the bonus CD of 4 bonus tracks. There we go. Hanging in the Balance, the Halifax Sessions, Hard Love, Halifax Sessions, excuse me, Into the Wild, acoustic demo, and Where the Wild Things Grow, acoustic demo. So it's just 4 tracks. Very cool, very simple. I will say when I got the CD actually and took it out of the package, which I only did last week when I got it, because it's a couple weeks since this album came out, but it took quite a while to get to me in the mail from the UK, which I don't blame anybody for. But I was really surprised when I opened it, and this was the version, which it's awesome that it's autographed. That's great. So I now have something that's autographed that I purchased. Obviously, they didn't sign it in front of me and put my name on it or anything, but it's still really cool, and it's cool to have all 4 guys from the band sign it. So that's neat. You can tell this guy was either running out or just had like a fine tipped pen, whereas marker, whereas everybody else had a pretty big marker. But I was surprised when that I saw this and this is white, because the whole time they've been promoting this album as either this sort of green color or this really neat sort of lilac color. And if you purchase the vinyl, I believe these were the 2 colors that you could choose. And I was very I was struggling over whether I could afford the copy of the album on CD with the vinyl, and I really wish I could have, because it would be neat to have it, but it was a little bit more than I was willing to spend, or it was a little bit more money than I have at all now. And so I decided to go the cheaper option and just get the bonus thing that came with the cassette, even though I don't care about cassettes at all, but it's still kind of a cool thing to have, so I'm not going to, I'll put it with my very small cassette collection. It's very cool to have the bonus disc, and I think that these are exclusive to this bonus disc, but I think this was shipped with every order that came from from their website. And then now, since they've released it, they actually have a digital deluxe edition that comes with, I think, 5 bonus tracks that are similar to this, but not these songs. So it's other songs from the album Halifax Sessions and a couple of acoustic demos as well. So we'll see. If I listen to this, if I love the album and I listen to this and I love these, I might consider, I suppose, shelling out a couple bucks for the deluxe edition. Though I got a code in an email from the band saying, here's like a discount code, because they added the digital deluxe edition later after I purchased this. So I think I can get like a $2 off or something, so I can get the whole digital deluxe edition for like maybe $6, which is still quite a bit for something that I already purchased. But again, I'll only think about doing that if I absolutely adore this. But so we have 11 tracks on here. It's really nice. I'll show you the artwork, just because I know most people don't care about artwork, but I really do. I think it's important, and I'm just glad. So you take it. This is really cool. It says "Where the Wild Things Grow" in here on the CD here, or on the booklet, and then you take it off. And there's just one phrase underneath that says, "Just lift your head and take a breath," which is very cool. The booklet just says "Where the Wild Things Grow." On the back it says "Starsailor." And then when you open it, it's just the song lyrics, all of them on 2 pages, very small. And then the next page has the song credits, so who played what on each song. And then also like a little piece of artwork here, which is the piece of artwork that they've been using to kind of promote everything. And then the back page has a picture of the band, and then a little bit continuing with the sort of like, in my head I thought herbology right away because I'm a big Harry Potter fan, but the like whatever horticulture theme with the plants, and then just the sort of more album credits there. The actual album credits, the previous page has just their who plays what on each song. So yeah, that's all we got in terms of the artwork. It's pretty cool. There is a picture behind the disc. It's just a white flower. And the disc itself just is the white flower. It says "Where the Wild Things Grow." And if you're curious and you want to know why we're not going to be listening to the CD, when I put it in my computer to listen to it, it makes my computer run much louder, if you can believe it. So I ripped this exact CD exactly as it is, at the quality that a CD is, 16 bits, 44.1 hertz, 44.1 kilohertz. And so that's exactly what we're going to be listening to. And hopefully, if I can upload this video with the music in it from the album, you'll be hearing exactly what I'm hearing. If not, you can go to Spotify, you can go to iTunes. I'll try to leave some links, if I can find like a link tree or something from their website, to listen to your own copy and line it up with me. So, with all of that being said, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to get into. There's only one last thing we need to do before we listen. Look right here on the table, and I'll be right back with you. So I realize you can't see a lot of the table down here, which normally I have the camera set up so you can, but who cares? It doesn't really matter. Today, for the video, I will be drinking my second ever can of the brand new Mountain Dew, Baja Mountain Dew. This is Baja Laguna Lemonade. Dew with a blast of natural and artificial mango lemonade flavor. There we go. So I've tried this before. I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to drink another can of it. Ooh, and we got a little slushy because it's been in the freezer since I came downstairs. So it's a little slushy. Cheers. Oh, it's so good. And just in case you're wondering, yes, I do have my Mountain Dew Snuggie down here. So if I get cold while we're listening, although I don't think I will, either I'll be loving it so much or I'll be hating it because of some production element that's wrong. I'll probably be pretty hot while we're listening to this. But I'm very excited to get into this. I'll have the booklet out. I don't want to handle the CD very much because I don't want to rub the autographs off. But I can have it sitting upside down over here. And let's see, what else? What are you seeing over here? Oh, you're seeing this. But I've got the booklet out. I probably won't be looking at the lyrics very much. If you are unfamiliar with the channel, you'll know that I tend to focus on production elements of music. I tend to not listen to lyrics very much. However, I will say another example of Starsailor being an exception to the rule is that I do enjoy Starsailor lyrics a lot. Not every song of theirs is super captivating to me, but as a person who never listens to lyrics of a song, or at least definitely not the first time I hear a song, maybe if I hear a song multiple times, I'll start to listen to it. But some music just captivates me a little bit more than others in that area, and I do focus on the lyrics a little bit more, and some of their music does that, so we'll see what ends up happening. I like the idea that the album is called Where the Wild Things Grow. That just seems like a very Starsailor-y phrase to me. And obviously there's the famous children's book Where the Wild Things Are, which is interesting. The tracks we have are Into the Wild, Heavyweight, After the Rain, Where the Wild Things Grow, Flowers, Better Times, Dead on the Money, Enough, Hard Love, Last Shot, and Hanging in the Balance. So we'll see. My plan in this video is not to listen to the deluxe edition, like bonus CD tracks. So I don't think I'm going to do that. Maybe if I absolutely adore the album, love it, think it's the greatest thing in the world, then maybe I'll throw those in there at the end of the video or something, but we'll see. As I said, I am hoping that this album is as good as their album All the Plans, which is my fourth favorite Starsailor album, and the reason I say that is because I love their first three albums so much. There's so much variety amongst those three albums, even in each of those individual albums themselves as well, but I just love those albums so much. I don't know if they could come out with an album, 15 years later, that is as good to me as those three albums are. However, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I pre-ordered it from their website quite a while ago. I've known about this coming out for months, and I'm ready to give this a listen. So, without any further ado, I see my candle over here is actually finally going. When I lit that, didn't know if it was going to or not. It looked like it was going to go out, but the wick was very small on it. That is a peach-flavored candle, so it smells very nice in here, and it goes really nicely with my Mango Mountain Dew as well. So, all right, here we go. I have the songs pulled up in my Winamp. Brand new Starsailor, their first album since 2017. This is Into the Wild off of their album, Where the Wild Things Grow. In 3, 2, sorry, let's do the countdown again so that if you have to, you can line up with me. In 3, 2, 1.
Take 2.
Oh. Starting off pretty raw feeling. Electric guitars. It's got a very live feel to it, and I don't know if that's just this first track here. The bass has almost like a reverb on it, which is very unconventional. His voice has a lot of reverb on it too, and the reverb is very reminiscent of like room reverb. I hope the whole album doesn't sound like this. Like that synth. Definitely sounds like they're trying to emulate a live show. James' vocals doubled, both in the middle. I like the bouncy feel to it. Wow, mono piano. Strings now coming from a completely different place. Very mono sounding. Strings are wide. Wow, interesting. Bit more background vocals. Really like that. I did notice in the booklet that a lot of the songs have female backing vocals, which is really nice. I love that. Lucy Jules, or Jowls, is featured on a lot of the songs, as well as Nicole Smith, so that's really great. There's some nice organ. I was also looking, and I believe this is the longest track on the album, so that's interesting to start the album off with the longest track. Okay, what are we doing now? Okay, it sounds like we're in a different room now. Harmonica? Oh. Dry electric guitar. Awesome. Who's playing that harmonica? That's awesome. Guitar and harmonica by Tony Doggin Foster. Vocals, guitar, additional synth, James Walsh. Bass, Fender, 6 and percussion, James Stelfox. Piano, keyboards, Barry Westhead. Drums, Ben Byrne. Additional guitar, Andy Dunlop. Oh, I love it. Love this. Oh, we're getting like gospel vocals here. I definitely feel like this could fade out because it's very rocking and repeating, and everyone's doing their own soloing and stuff, which I really enjoy, but I don't want this song to fade out. Tambourine in there now, which is the quintessential at the end of the song. We'll see if that happens or if they just fade it out, which I'll be very disappointed in, but this hasn't been my favorite Starsailor song of all time, but I really like that they're doing all this sort of experimentation with the panning, the instrumentation. There's certain things that are dry, there's things that have that room reverb on them. Very interesting. Definitely the rhythm, the dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum, that's very 4 to the floor. Not 4 to the floor, I mean their song, 4 to the floor. I love this. I don't think we have enough time to fade out unless they do a short fade, which would be bleh. Yeah! Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Okay, we're dryish, I think. Bass in the drums, that reverb sound, that live sound is gone. So far. We're getting some organ, interesting guitar pan right in the middle. Drums are in the middle, it sounds like. Recorded mono drums.
You caught me out with a sucker punch.
Distorted vocals. I'm gonna turn it up just a smidge. Really distorted vocals. This song Heavyweight, by the way. They're kind of keeping with that bouncy feeling.
Your protection became mine.
The vocals might be a little hot here. By hot, I don't mean too distorted. They are maybe a little too distorted, but they're a little too loud. The mastering is very interesting. It's a very dynamic sounding album. Also, I did turn the volume up, so I need to remember that. I'm gonna turn it down a little again because we're getting a little too loud. Okay, we're halfway through the song, and that was the chorus, I think. So we probably will only get 2 choruses in this song, which is another thing I'm a bit of a stickler about. I like having a bridge, a third part to the song, and then finishing the song off with the final climactic third chorus. But I'm open to a band trying to change my mind that there are other song structures that are better than that, but generally I find I don't like song structures that are shorter than that. Like the backing vocals, love the piano. The drums are like mono as mono can be. But I don't really mind it that much. I don't know why they would be mono. I don't think that they would be losing anything by having the drums have a stereo image. You know, sometimes heavier records, like metal albums, are mixed with more mono drums so that the guitars can exist on the side and feel heavier and it's more spread out rather than just crash cymbals all the time. That's cool. Interesting. Some like maybe distorted piano in there? Yeah. Or maybe piano with some distorted guitar at the end. That was nice. Okay, we're going into track 3, After the Rain. Ooh, yes. Now, this is only 2:16. I believe there are vocals in this. Yeah. So, I thought maybe this would just be a short instrumental interlude or something, but it doesn't look like it. I like the acoustic guitar. Piano's got a lot of reverb on it.
Don't give up just yet. What really matters is what's left after.
James' vocals have a lot of reverb as well.
After the
That little guy gets here every time I record anything. Don't worry about him, he'll be back.
Don't give up just yet. What really matters is what's left after the rain.
I think this feels a little bit more classic Starsailor. Love the piano there. Ooh. Oh. And obviously more harmonica. Now distorted Hammond organ. I don't know if it's a Hammond exactly, but it sounds like a Hammond. Love the guitar solo.
Don't give up just yet. Don't
Hey, and we'll get another chorus. I like that.
what matters is what's left after the rain.
I like the dryness of the drums and the sort of matted feel of them. That was nice. I would have liked that song to be twice the length, but I'll take what I can get. I never thought we would get another Starsailor album, by the way. If you're unfamiliar with this band, they basically quit being a band for a while, and then last year or the year before, they got together to do some shows. They released like a greatest hits type thing, and then they started releasing these 20th anniversary editions, and I didn't know if they were going to get a new album from them. But ooh, a lot of reverb there.
With nowhere to be now. I finally find
2 acoustic guitar tracks, different performances, hand left and right. Oh, beautiful piano.
the solace of sleep is coming on slow.
Gorgeous piano.
Where the wild things grow.
Oh, I should say I haven't heard any of this, by the way. I didn't listen to any of the singles or songs they released before this. I have not heard a second of any of it. Okay, double vocals there.
Break out of peace, my apprehension.
Ooh, very cool. I like that, the stutter editing there on that sort of synth pad thing. Ooh, this is great. All the reverb is a little... It's kind of crazy to me. It makes it feel a little like 90s, like Enya-ish. Yeah, even that crazy reverb on the... Oh. Wow. Oh, wow, this is gorgeous.
Coming on slow. I'd silence create sweet afterglow where the wild things grow.
Wow. Love that sound. This is gorgeous. The combination of the piano and the acoustic guitars are just, oh, it's so beautiful. It's a lot of reverb, I think maybe a little bit too much, but they're using it as an effect, like a crazy effect, and it's working. Ooh, acoustic guitar solo in the middle? Lead acoustic guitar?
Where the wild things grow. Where the wild things
Like the rim shot, dry rim shot on the drums. I like the way the drums are sounding on this album. Very different from song to song. Snares, but very muted snares now. Full-on hit on the snare. They're doing a lot of production things here. A lot of very interesting production things. Looks like we're not going to get a third chorus here. Yeah, that reverb is crazy. Wow, that was awesome, though. I really did like that. It didn't feel like the song culminated at all. It just kind of tapered off, but I think that's what they were going for. So good job there. Oh, boy. All right, Flowers. Acoustic guitar, recorded mono, which I believe all the acoustic guitars have been. Very tasty. This is a bit of a country feel, of old school country kind of vibes.
Here come the bombs.
Oh,
You know what to do.
that reverb with delay on his vocals is very intense.
I should be gone.
I kind of wish it wasn't there, especially not that much. Like, that's such a high percentage. I wish it was like maybe dropped 30% or so from what it is.
Set up the star. Put a smile on your face.
Music just isn't made that way anymore with tons of reverb like that, but
Dignity's one thing.
everything else very nice and clear and crisp. His vocal's still nice and clear and crisp, but
Nothing is going to change. Rise from the roots once again. And after the bombs and the blame, their flowers will still remain.
how awesome.
If there's
Yes,
a
give me
God,
piano.
why doesn't he come?
Oh, nice
Stop
organ
this
part.
cruel world from coming undone.
Hey, that was a tom drum recorded in stereo.
That hangs from their lips.
Or the tom was panned a little over to the left, at least.
Doesn't exist. Nothing is going to change.
Maybe they didn't record the drums without any overheads,
Which
is interesting. It's certainly not required. I mean, that would be recording the drums in mono, like I've been saying, but so far that tom drum is like the only stereo thing I've heard in terms of a drum being panned at all. Nice shaker there.
Their flowers will still remain.
What a gorgeous song. So here we're getting organ and piano, beautiful piano. And that might be fretless bass.
Nothing is going to change.
No, it's just electric slide electric guitar, I think.
Once again. After the bombs and the blame, their flowers will still remain.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And that is my structure of a song that I like. That's probably my favorite song on the album. And I like the message too. What little bit that I did listen to the lyrics, it sounds like that was maybe about fallen soldiers. Very cool. All right, track 6, we're halfway through. Better Times. Interesting sound there. I don't know what that was. Could have been a guitar or a keyboard part of some kind.
When all around you leave a bitter feeling.
Double track vocals.
Troubles are keeping you away.
Strummed acoustic guitar,
Just
recorded in mono,
remember
panned
that
wide, and the bug just flew around my face.
fading with with every closing of
There's a little ladybug.
Feel like every word is out to get you.
Sounds great.
Confusion everywhere.
Back to that sort of pulsating feeling, but still kind of laid back.
You'll be surprised how many care.
There's a lot of subtle things happening, but there's also
to make it work. Don't be undermined.
Lucy Jowls, or Lucy Jewels vocals.
Take a breath.
12-string guitar, Tony Dogg and Foster, and the four guys in the band. But also Rick McNamara,
Even when you feel so close to get
additional guitar.
you listen for a false alarm.
I like the production here
When
on this
your
one.
mind is filled with heavy weather, but the
Great backing vocals, I love it. I say all the time in my videos on my channel here, backing vocals are the most underappreciated element to all of music. The second most underappreciated element to all of music is auxiliary percussion. All of those, both of those things being utilized very well on this album. This is classic Starsailor. Oh, yeah. Love it. Because a lot of the music is focused in the middle, and then the other other elements are just panned maybe 40 to 45% left, 40 to 45% right. That leaves room on the outsides for organs and just like ethereal feeling things. Also these background vocals, gang vocals, and it really makes something feel special when it's really wide. It makes it feel like a different section of the song. You can help the song feel bigger that way. Yeah. Very cool. That crazy distorted guitar. It's almost circusy piano-like. What interesting chords. Oh, I love this. I love the building. And that like strummed electric guitar, it almost sounds like someone like some kind of like scatting vocals or something. But I think it's a electric guitar with some sort of a filter sweep on it. I love this. These buildings, the song's building to something. This is the second song they've done this on. Don't fade out on me. Yeah. A lot of interesting things happening there. That was very cool. All right, track 7, Dead on the Money. All right, here we go. What do we got here? A rim shot instead of a hi-hat. Now on the hi-hat.
I wanna take you dancing in the afterglow. You always gain the knowledge when the time has flown.
Interesting delay on James' vocals here, right in the middle. Tambourine. That's a fast tambourine. Not easy to do for a long period of time.
I wanna shed this skin that I have always worn. We're trying to build a life with what is left.
Man, such interesting sounds they have in here. Very tasty. A lot of experimentation with different keyboard sounds. Very cool. He's really hitching it up into his falsetto voice there. love it.
rapping on the window pane.
It just sounds like they're having fun.
Now you fed the lion.
Also, that hi-hat sounds a little stereo.
Nothing's
Maybe not.
gonna be
Maybe off to the left a little bit.
'cause everybody wants to know the
Bug's
cracks
back.
to your secret code. Dead on the money alive in hope.
Oh, cool. The offset
'Cause everybody wants to know
rhythmic pattern there. Very cool.
cracks to your secret code. Dead on the money alive in
Love it.
hope. Dead on the money alive in hope.
I'm just checking real quick. Yeah, it looks like every song on this album was written by the 4 guys from the band. None of the songs are cover songs. And I don't even see an additional person listed on any of them. Great. I'm loving this. This is awesome. This is awesome. I think I almost like the middle of the album more than the first half of the album, or the first third, but the first third was really... We're back to that reverb. That cavernous space again. But the beautiful thing they're doing here,
I should be home by
which is, I mean, very common. This is not some special trick or anything, but they have, what we're hearing the dry signal from everything, but then they have, I'm assuming everything's sent to these auxiliary buses, which is a whole separate track in your DAW, your digital audio workspace, with the delay and the reverb effects on it. And so what you're getting is, you know, when you add a reverb plugin or effect to a signal, you can choose what percentage of that signal to have. What they're doing, I assume, is we're hearing 100% of the dry signal, and then the reverb and the delays and the effects on a lot of it are coming from a separate track that they can then choose to bring up and down as the mix is going. This is gorgeous.
counting my thoughts till they stop.
Okay, that sounds like digital strings, but nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
But I'm feeling that I'm
In
not
fact, I actually think they sound sort of digital on purpose. It's a very slow attack, a slow transient, which is cool.
I should be home by now, but I'm playing.
Gorgeous acoustic guitar. I applaud them for being okay with having multiple tracks of acoustic guitar doing all these amazing rhythmic things, because when they perform live, they probably only have one acoustic guitar player, and that would be James. Unless they're touring with some of these other people, because every song features Rick McNamara playing some additional guitar, and a lot of the songs feature Tony, Dog, and Foster with some guitar as well. So maybe they're going to just tour with 3 additional people in the band. Now this song, We're On Enough, this song also says Wurlitzer. I believe this is the first track that has Wurlitzer being played by Barry Westhead, the keyboard player. It says Wurlitzer, piano, and keyboards. All the other tracks just have piano and keyboards, I think. Oh, I like that sort of country guitar. The lead guitar. What crazy reverb, or crazy delay.
I feel my wisdom is coming undone.
Awesome.
And I'm
Ooh.
feeling that I'm not enough,
Love it.
enough,
Gorgeous, lush string feeling in the back. Oh. Bringing in some synth strings. Yes, yes, do not be afraid to do things like that. Most bands would want something that sounds like fake strings, but they're embracing it. It just sounds great. I love that. That was great. There was a lot of tasty, really cool things happening there. I could have had that song be longer. There's nothing cooler than acoustic guitars being played like this, like arpeggiated broken chords. I'm not sure the exact terminology. And then there's a lead track in the middle, I believe, as well. And the synth pad sort of in there, just leaving a bed for everything to sit on top of. This is Hard Love, by the way, track 9. Sound like the piano kind of went there. The piano is being automated off to the right, which is interesting.
Curse and cry.
So, you know, this, I like the reverb here.
Feel it all.
This almost sounds to me like it's a second James track that's like 100% wet.
Inside.
Like it's a different James vocal take that's controlling the reverb. There's multiple tracks of James here now, though. Harmony vocal.
Perfect night.
Thank you for having a female backing vocalist.
I would rather have a hard love, baby, than an easy life.
Interesting.
Lift me up
Synth in there.
when I am low.
I love this. They're trying everything, and I love it.
Indecision,
The creativity here.
taking hold.
This is
A mixed emotion, can't deny. I would rather have a hard love, baby, than an easy life. I would rather have a hard love, baby, than an easy life.
very subtle snare drum playing in there. Very awesome. Played quietly. That was great. I wish they could have come back to the third chorus for a third chorus, but that was beautiful. So, ooh, love this. Oh, that hard love. There's this. Okay, there's a. Okay.
Here I sit in the silence only broken by the sirens and the creaks of the water tank.
The cool thing about the organ, they do this all the time. It's a subtle thing. Most good keyboard players who play the organ do this, but you use your left hand, or you after the fact, maybe you do it after post processing or whatever, but you add like a warble to it, or that's what Hammond organs were very famous for, the spinning mechanism in the speaker of the Hammond organ that you could change the speed of to make it sound like vibrato in a person's voice.
And I wish I could turn off all of the kindness. It feels like a temporary block. And I wish I could turn it off. If my thoughts, I'm over.
I love that like distorted affected mono piano that started the track off. That almost sounded like they recorded something and then they mixed it down and then brought the stereo track in, made it mono, put an effect on it, or like you recorded something on your phone or something, brought it in very low fidelity sounding. I love the building feel here, right? Now this is the second chorus. Are we gonna let it build and get big for the bridge? So far it's just got that building feel. Will we have some resolution? Letting it fade out again. Dry vocals now. The song could be changing. The reverb came back in. Now it's a fader, auxiliary fader going whoop, being automated to go whoop. There's definitely overheads on this song, or the cymbals are panned a little. Very cool effect on the vocals there. Some strings. This song could fade out. They haven't disappointed me thus far, but this one feels like the most fade-outy. I love they keep adding elements. Love that lead synth part there. That doesn't count as a fade out because the song's still going with the part. Gorgeous, amazing, awesome. They don't like to go back to those choruses, though, do they? They really like to have the bridge start, and it's a third part of the song, and then they just noodle with that till the end. All right, this is the last track. Don't know what this is going to be. This is Hanging in the Balance. Ooh, tasty stuff happening here.
Something beautiful is never
James' falsetto voice.
Mix it up with our greatest fear.
Piano sounds great. Everything sounds great.
If we hold on too tight, we'll suffocate it. If we give it too much space, we'll just erase it. And all we wanna do is get it right, but we're hanging in the balance.
I love little piano
Hanging
leads,
in the balance.
little piano lines. That's one of the reasons I like Love Is Here so much. There's a lot of little moments like that.
Make it beautiful and built to last. Won't be haunted by the ghosts that pass. If we hold on too tight, we'll suffocate it. If we give it too much space, we'll just
What a nice little
erase
piano run there.
And all we wanna do is get it right, but we're hanging in the balance.
Yes. Gorgeous.
Hanging in the balance.
This is the first track on the green disc,
hanging in the balance.
which I think we might actually listen to after we're done with this, because I'm really loving this and I want to hear what those are.
We're hanging.
Oh, yeah!
So undecided on where to begin. No reason to
A little glockenspiel in there for a second, some kind of bell thing.
So I jump right in, hanging out, hanging out, hanging out, hanging in the balance.
Like it. I like it. I don't think that sort of ocean sound was in there the whole time, but it was subtle enough it could have been, but that was great. That was great. Oh, I'm so happy that was great. That was definitely their fourth best album, if not better. And it will take me a few listens to decide that, but that was better than all these plans, or all this life and all the plans. All right. Before I get into before I get into my overall thoughts, we're going to put this guy in and we're going to listen to it. So now you'll get to see how loud my computer is. It gets quiet once I hit play, but I really, really enjoyed that a lot. That was very special to me. Very, very special to me. They're a special band. And so we just got 4 quick tracks here. We have Hanging in the Balance, the song we just listened to, Halifax Session. And then we had Hard Love, which is the track I love as well, Halifax Session. Into the Wild, acoustic demo, which Into the Wild was the first track. There was a lot of things happening there. So I'm excited to see how the acoustic version of that would be. And then Where the Wild Things Go, acoustic demo. Now, I'm hoping when it says acoustic demo, it would be great if it was piano and acoustic guitar, but I'm going to guess that it's just going to be acoustic guitar and James singing, I'm going to guess. But we'll see. So this is Halifax Session, Hanging in the Balance. Okay, so this is a great sounding live recording. I assume it's live with no overdubs. We have piano, we have electric guitar.
Something beautiful is never clear. Mix it up with our greatest fear. If we hold on.
Oh, that might have been a click track we were hearing there. Nice electric guitar. Ooh, what was that? So the piano is off to the left, which is a little interesting. Normally you hear the high frequencies of a piano on the right. Okay, so there's definitely some overdubs, I believe. Because we're hearing some strings in there, some synth pads. Unless there's multiple people playing keyboards, but I'm guessing they just did maybe one or two passes of overdubs. Still really interesting interpretation of the song. Sounds fantastic. Hey, the bug's back. It's always interesting to hear a band do this because, you know, we're hearing a different arrangement of the song. Drums are recorded in stereo for this. They sound phenomenal. Now, this version of the song is quite a bit longer, actually. The last, I don't remember exactly how long it was. Yeah, the album version of this song is 3:28, and this version is 4:22. Bass sounds great. A little overpowering here, but it sounds good. Yeah, definitely a lot more forgiving for something that's like a bonus track that seems like it was recorded mostly live, if not fully live somehow. Some jangliness there in the acoustic guitar, strumming acoustic guitar. Next one, he said, okay. Interesting, okay. Interesting. So there you could hear James directing the band. This next one, this is the last one. Okay, interesting. Okay, Hard Love Halifax session. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, we got multiple acoustic guitars going here. Bass in the middle. Now this is like 10 seconds longer than the album version. I reloaded the album versions into here, so this is great. I'm thinking I might spend the money to get the extra tracks if they're not these repeated plus like 2 extra ones or something. I wonder if I can go on there if they have a Bandcamp page and I can just buy the songs individually. I don't think they have that though. Okay, that sounds like overdubs of James.
Just cry, feel it all deep inside.
There's some interesting vocal stuff happening there.
Such an evening, perfect night.
There's like a vocoder in there or something.
I would rather have a hard love, baby, than an easy life.
Interesting. That's weird.
You lift me up, and I am low in this season, taken home. Mixed emotion, can't deny. I would rather have a hard love, baby, than an easy life.
And you know, session is an interesting term. Maybe James just came in and recorded this whole song himself. You know, doing each acoustic guitar track, rather than this being more approached live. The first track was definitely more of a live sounding thing, but it could be multiple guys from the band playing these acoustic guitars at the same time. I doubt it though. It sounds so together that it's probably the same person performing with the acoustic guitars. And there's a third acoustic guitar in there now too, doing some of that lead stuff. Okay, so the next track, just not to get ahead of ourselves here, the next track is Into the Wild acoustic demo, and it's 2.5 minutes long, whereas the album version of Into the Wild is 5.5 minutes long, so that's 3 minutes cut from that. But if you remember, that song changed basically halfway through the song, and it kind of got completely different after that, at that point, so I'm curious to hear that. The Where the Wild Things Grow acoustic demo is 2.5 minutes long, and the album version of Where the Wild Things Grow is 4.5 minutes long, so there's 2 minutes cut out of that, so very interesting. Interesting. I like that. I enjoyed that. Like I said, I still wish they would go back to the chorus a third time there, but that doesn't seem to be their prerogative here on this album. So that was probably the first track that was laid down for this, and everything was laid on the top of it. Okay, so this is the first acoustic demo we have. Strummed, okay. So this might be the first version of these songs that were laid down. Then the Halifax sessions were sort of like demos.
Tell you what you want to hear. Bloodthirsty honey badger. You think you're in the clear. Favorite
Now those acoustic guitars sound like they're just plugged into the board, dry, just a demo.
Perceived piece of wisdom.
Vocals doubled. James clearly feels more confident when he's doubling his vocals.
No place for heart without guile. As we wait, we go into the wild. Here comes your misfortune.
So in this case, when it seems like the songs when they were demoed out, at least at first, it was just a verse, a chorus, second verse, chorus. And so I really appreciate the fact that the band took and stretched things out more, even if there was no more like vocal parts other than just some runs and things like that. And then letting the music play along with the music, with the structure of the song and everything, and the arrangement. You know, instead of just ending the songs and having them be 2 minutes 30-second song, having them be 3 minutes 3:30, and then letting the music kind of exist for a while after the vocal ideas are complete. Okay, I'm gonna skip to the next one. Where the Wild
Dressed up to the night.
Wow.
With nowhere to be now. I finally find who I wish to be.
Very interesting.
Now. The solace of sleep.
That's like some weird reverse reverb. What an interesting effect.
Where the wild things grow. The branches they bend in twisted dimension and break out a beat to my apprehension.
Very interesting.
The solace of sleep is coming.
A lot of things happening here. I don't know if this is really an acoustic demo, but I understand what they mean. Basically, acoustic demo is like the quality and the earliness of the demo. And then the Halifax sessions must have been a studio they went to kind of lay everything down and get a feel for how everything was going to sound. Boy, you can really hear the compressor working on those vocals.
So that your doubts have something to soothe them.
It's a little much,
The
but
solace of sleep is coming on slow.
it's always interesting to hear demos of songs, like early demos, and then where the songs went to. Very interesting. You know, like I said, the album version of this song has 2 additional minutes to it.
Where the wild things grow.
Very ghosty feel there. Very cool.
Where the wild things grow.
Hilarious, those little ping, pong, little synth parts. Okay, all right. Well, that's really interesting. I'm gonna take that out real quick. I'm really curious to see what the other songs are on the digital deluxe edition, and if they're all Halifax sessions, I will definitely buy them because I think they'll be worth that. But if they're acoustic demos, I don't know. It'd be nice if I could hear them first, but we'll see. I don't know. Okay. I loved that. There were things about it that I'm not super, super happy about. However, there's nothing about it that made me mad or frustrated, which it could have, definitely. Like, there were 3 songs where they were jamming at the end, and it was just kind of building, continuing on, everyone kind of noodling around, vocal runs and things like that. And in those sort of situations, that is very common, to just take the faders and just slowly bring them down, or nowadays just automate the master bus down. And they didn't do that. They chose to play the songs and end them. And I'm assuming that's to sort of indicate to people. I mean, they did it because that's the right thing to do, because you should never fade a song out ever. It's always lazy songwriting and terrible every time. But what they're doing there is they're giving people an expectation of what they can hear when they see them live. And I'm assuming they have so much fun when they perform those songs live, just jamming out and having a great fun time, probably noodling, trying different things here and there. They're all great musicians, obviously, so they could do that. And improvising, I mean, and just having fun building and crescendoing, and then that feeling of release when they hit the last note and everything is either drawn out or it's stopped, and that's great. I really like the production of this album. It was very interesting for me to talk about a lot of the times. I probably missed a lot of things that were happening in the songs because I was talking about the production, but it was a very interesting album to talk about from a production standpoint because there were so many different things done from song to song. I think I liked the middle to second half of the album more than the first half. Starsailor is a band that will put their sort of like bigger, more hit songs or whatever, the songs they feel could be more singles at the beginning of the album. They've done that in the past, and I think that, not that that's always the case. Their first album, not Good Souls. Good Souls was a big song of theirs, but what's the, you came waltzing in with a light within, and the girls all walked away. Stay while we make our getaway. The boys on... whatever. I don't remember the lyrics. But there's this, one of their bigger singles from their first album is towards the end of the album. However, in this album, I feel like there was crazy experimentation done throughout the whole album. But a lot of the things that they were doing were a little bit more subtle and maybe not even necessarily something that people would notice as much towards the middle to back half of the album. The front 3-4 songs were all very different and very experimental in obvious ways, where they were trying crazy effects and different things. There were multiple times throughout the album that I mentioned the reverb as being definitely a character of the songs. That first track, I'm only talking about the standard, the album edition of the songs right now, by the way. If I talk about any of the bonus songs from the second disc, I'll mention that specifically. But for now, I'm just talking about the standard edition of the album, I guess. The first track really sounded like they were trying to sort of emulate the live stage show. It even sounded like there was some reverb on the bass. Everything felt very roomy and I was a little afraid for a little bit, apprehensive maybe, that the whole album, if the whole album was going to sound like that, it would be very disappointing, but it absolutely did not. That first track, though, really did sound like that's an example of them experimenting and doing something kind of different. Like it really felt like a live performance, and that was all manufactured after the fact. And so that's really interesting. Or at least I'm pretty sure that's how it was done, manufactured after the fact, with the effects and reverbs and things. I loved every aspect of this performance-wise. I think that everything felt very tasty. It felt very clever. I really liked, nothing felt out of place, and the few things that were like startling or surprising to hear were done intentionally and put into the songs very well. There were several songs where I heard this weird, like obviously synthy sounding synth, and I was like, oh, what a cool thing. What an interesting sound to have in there. There were two songs, or one song in particular, where they definitely used like fake sounding strings, and I loved that. I thought that was great. And they even went in harder with it the second time around in that part of the song when they started using the like clear like synth strings. I really enjoyed that. That's great. I wish more bands would be open to the idea of just letting keyboards sound like keyboards rather than trying to make it sound realistic. Or I mean, obviously I love it when you can hire a real string section or whatever, or hire a whole orchestra. That's great and amazing. And I would love it if they could do a whole album with an orchestra at some point, or a greatest hits performance where they perform live with an orchestra or something. I love it when bands do that, and they could be one of those bands that do that because they have had strings and lots of different elements throughout their music throughout their entire career. But yeah, I really enjoyed the playing around with all sorts of different things on this album. The sounds were really, it was interesting. Like the drums were very mono for a vast majority of the album, but towards the end, I felt like they got a little bit more of a stereo image to them. And again, just because the drums, I'm saying the drums were mono, what I mean is basically every drum you were hearing from the drum kit was in the middle. There was really no panning. The couple songs, I think I maybe heard some tom drums that were panned a little. And then towards the end there was some stereo, maybe stereo cymbals, though I can't remember if that was on the bonus disc or the end of the regular edition, but I think it's the end of the regular edition. I'd have to go back and listen to it again, but I pointed out when I was listening to it. But I really enjoyed the way the drums sounded. It didn't bother me that they were mono. You can record drums in stereo and then have them just be where they sit in the stereo image, but you can also just record drums mono and then pan drums if you want, or cymbals or whatever, however you want. And the mix was made in such a way that the cymbals were definitely not accented at all. You were mostly hearing kick and snare. But there may have been some like drum replacing on the album, but for most of it, I think that the snare for sure was not replaced very, very much, because you could, there was parts where he was playing little like light brush pattern type things, very subtle. It's the more subtle something is, the harder it is to replace it with something synthetic. Same thing with the more intimate something sounds. So I loved the drums the whole time. The piano was gorgeous the entire time. I mentioned it beforehand. I think that the piano playing is one of my favorite parts of this band. The piano arrangements were amazing. There was lots of organ as well, like I also mentioned, like Hammond sort of style organ. I mentioned the vibrato of the organ, which was just perfect. You could tell that it was being played with in real time, to go along with the songs. It was being performed, which is great. Piano was great though, just absolutely sounded amazing. There were moments where it was mono, sort of panned. There was also moments where it felt kind of like a full stereo recording of a piano. Probably a grand piano. It didn't sound like an upright to me. Could have been a really good patch though. That's one thing that, they can do lots of things. Like I said, the strings earlier, you can really make very realistic sounding strings now digitally. And the same thing can be said for fantastic piano patches that sound like, that emulate the great, like these famous pianos or whatever. But it sounded like a real piano to me. It might have not have been, but it sounded so great, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if it was or not anyway, because it sounded so good. Bass was great the whole time, very tasty. A lot of things that he was doing in the upper register of the bass to add to it when the song didn't necessarily require this big booming low frequency. So there's a lot of tasty things done up there. Guitars were great across. I love that a lot of the acoustic guitars in a lot of the album on a lot of the album were 2 tracks of acoustic guitar, rhythm acoustic guitar, one panned left, one panned right, and then maybe some nice tasty lead stuff or some extra acoustic guitar right in the middle. All sounding fantastic the way that it was mixed and made and played. When you record things like that, the farther apart you pan them, the less they have to be like 100% timed correctly. But when you're doing something like that, that's a pattern-based rhythmic element, if it wasn't performed correctly, not that I wouldn't expect these guys to perform it correctly, but if it wasn't performed correctly, your ear would be drawn to one side or the other a lot more than it was. So the performances were done very well there, which makes me think that it was probably the same person and probably James that was doing it. But there were other people listed in the booklet as playing guitar. So maybe they just have, they're all obviously incredible musicians, but maybe they just got these really amazing guitar players to come and sit with them and, add additional elements to the songs. But there was just so much that was so nice in all of those. The backing female vocals used a lot more on the front to middle of the album and not as much on the back half of the album. But I think that makes the back half of the album feel a little bit more intimate and maybe a little bit more classic Starsailor rather than the front half, which felt weird, as not weird, but as I said, very different and experimental. I loved the gospel-y vocals in all the songs that kind of appeared in. Then there were some other songs where you could just tell that there were other people singing with James in the choruses and things to thicken everything up. And if a band has the ability to add additional voices to the songs, I always think you should do that because it really helps the mix engineer thicken everything with those different elements. Bands have done amazing things. Excuse me. Bands have done amazing things forever with letting the lead vocalist overdub himself many times. That's Freddie Mercury was famous for that. A lot of very famous band. Imogen Heap has done that for years. People have been doing it forever. And there's a lot of really great artists that can do that. But there's something special when you have an additional vocalist, a different voice performing and singing on the songs. And so I'm really glad that they did that. And I would not be surprised if when they're touring now, they have a female vocalist or a backing vocalist with them. I don't know if anyone in the band does backing vocals, though maybe live they do have some of the other guys in the band perform backing vocals, but maybe not. Maybe there's no additional vocals and it's just James' single track. They're also the kind of band that are versatile enough to come up with arrangements that would be interesting without all of those extra layers to it. But I thought the vocals were performed amazingly across the entire album. James did a great job. I think the weirdest thing on this album, weird's not a good word, but the most surprising thing that kind of threw me off the most was the amount of reverb and effects on his vocals. It was definitely a very specific choice and not necessarily a choice that I agreed with all the time, but they were doing it on purpose to get a very specific sound and feel, and it achieved that goal, I think. There were certain songs where it felt like it was way too much, but the fact that there were other songs that were similar in feel and style to that song or those songs that were more dry sounding and that were more intimate sounding and less cavernous reverb sounding, that tells me that they did those things on purpose. And so, that's cool. I could disagree with that decision maybe a little bit, and certainly with the percentage that the effects were in there. But at the end of the day, I don't think that it was enough to make me dislike the song at all. Just something that maybe made me raise my eyebrows a little bit and question it and think oh, why are you... It seemed like they were going for a sound that's a little antiquated at this point and doesn't necessarily... I definitely tend to lean towards a more dry sound, especially when something is slower, more ballad-like, rather than cavernous reverb always. But, I don't know, even the cavernous reverb stuff was done very tastefully with it being very low-passed and letting James' vocals sit on top of it and all the rest of the instrumentation sit on top of it and everything. Yeah, there was a lot of mixing done on this album, a lot of mixing, a lot of choices that were made. They were very intentional and very purposeful, and I agree that a lot of them were done and those decisions were made that were correct decisions. So, but that's just my opinion, Maybe some people would listen to this and dislike it. If you're a big fan of On the Outside, I think is that there. I'm terrible with remembering the names of albums, but their more rock album, On the Outside. If you're a fan of that album and that's your favorite Starsailor album, then I don't know if you would enjoy this album as much if that's what you're looking for. It's just those straight up more simple, straightforward rock songs that they did so well on that album. There's a lot more put into this. Not saying it was more difficult or whatever, but although I do think that this was more difficult to make than that album. And I'm not even saying that it sounds better or worse or anything like that. It's just very different. But I think I prefer this maybe over that, the way that album sounds, at least production-wise. There are some great songs on that album. And there are some really good songs on this album too, but as I mentioned multiple times, I was a little disappointed with the song structuring, the fact that they didn't go back to the chorus a couple times. And as I started this sort of review section at the end of the video here out, they had multiple opportunities to fade the song out. They chose to never do that. Towards the end of the album, they did have that song that sort of faded out, but they kept some of the keyboards and things going. And then there was an obvious ending point to those where everything stopped and there was a little bit of a reverb trail. So clearly the song ended. And so to me, that's a perfect score. 11 out of 11 tracks that did not fade out. Really interested in the bonus disc, those Halifax sessions. Really interested in hearing more of those. Really would be interested in hearing more of those songs. So I hope that that's something that they have on that digital deluxe edition. I might think about getting that. So yeah, that was great. I'm very happy with this. It is going to be on my list at the end of the year. I don't know how it could not be, but so far we've had a lot of really great things this year. Other albums that are on my list for this year, just if you're curious, the Mother album, which I forget what it was called. Shoot, I can't remember. But the new Mother album, the more I listen to it after recording the reaction, which I haven't released yet because didn't have time to edit it, the more I listen to that album, the more I'm a little disappointed with the lyrics and the lyrical content of the album. So we'll see. Maybe if I decide to release that reaction, which I probably will, I'll have to edit the songs because that's what I do here on this channel. No swear words in the music, no swear words at all. And when I make the edited versions of the songs, then I can burn myself a disc of all the songs with the edited versions in there. Maybe I'll enjoy the album more. But the new Mother album, the new Black Keys album for sure, is maybe my number one right now. But that's fighting with the brand new Emma Bulls album that came out this year. Love Will Fix It, I think is what that album's called. Fantastic metal album from one of my favorite metal bands from Germany, and they have released what might be either their best or second best album, probably the second best album because Oceanic is so great. But that album was great. It came out at the very beginning of January. So those are some albums that I've been thinking about a lot this year. I haven't yet heard the new Big Train album because I'm a big dummy and I've been waiting to do a reaction to that, and I just haven't felt like it over the last month, basically since it came out. But yeah, so this new Starsailor album, Where the Wild Things Grow, I'm pretty sure will definitely end up on my list. I just don't think there's any way it won't. And it'll probably be towards the middle, maybe, but it could eke its way up if I listen to this more and I really enjoy it more and more every time I listen to it, which that's how Starsailor albums have really grown on me. The more I listen to them, the more I enjoy them. If that's truly the case with this album, maybe by the end of the year it will get into those top, 5, 4, 3 spots. I doubt it'd be the top 2, but you never know. So that's how much I love this. That's how much I love Starsailor. Thank you very much for watching the video. I don't need to prolong this outro very much more, so we'll just go ahead and end it here. Like I said, thank you very much for watching me. Take a look around the channel for other videos. Think about subscribing and liking if you're not already subscribed. It does help my channel reach reach the algorithms or whatever. As of right now, I don't have a Patreon or any, but I'm thinking about starting that up to see, but I hate it when people peddle themselves for money, and I've my whole life hated talking about money at all, and I just, whatever, imposter syndrome and all that stuff. But if I do start something, maybe in the future, you see this video in the future, you can check it if that's something you'd be interested in. If I do start that, I will have that link in the description of all my videos, I'm sure. So regardless, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for being here. If anyone from Starsailor's camp ever sees this video, thank you very much for making this amazing album and for being such an awesome band for 20 plus years now that I've been able to enjoy for a vast majority of those 20 years. So thank you very much, and I look forward to what you do next, if you do anything next. I hope that maybe now you guys are back together having fun. Maybe we'll get another Starsailor album in the next couple of years. Try not to take 7 to 8 years between albums if you don't have to, but I understand if you need to take a break every now and then, but this is a special album. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and I will see you next time.